You're on.
All right, late night from Willowdale, and well, I know we've done a bunch of videos recently, and I don't like to do too many because it's not fair to our 5 or 6 viewers. But I had to do one about the minimum wage, the controversy over the minimum wage increase in Tim Hortons and all that. How can you not? How could I not do something about this? It's so outrageous. Um, the ongoing controversy about this minimum wage increase in Ontario is nauseating. It's frankly immoral. In the second decade of the 21st century, that we still have a controversy about paying people a basic minimum wage, a basic living wage, is outrageous. 14 or $15 an hour in our society is not even a livable wage. That's not even a livable wage. And yet there's still controversy about this. You know, what's so disgusting, what Tim Hortons, of course, what Tim Hortons did is so disgusting, it's beyond the pale. It's beyond adjectives. Tim Hortons, broadcasts itself as the company of family values, hockey moms, where all families go after a hockey game, and yet they don't even want to pay their employees decent wages. And they'll curtail benefits in protest because of the minimum wage increase. That is so disgusting. And I just, I just hope people don't go to Tim Hortons as much. I know you still have to people go to Tim Hortons. I still will go to Tim Hortons occasionally, but I won't go as often. I won't go as often. I hope they really hurt. I hope they've really suffered a public relations disaster here, in my opinion. And I'm glad that Ontario's Premier Kathleen Wynne has stood up to them. And that's a winning issue for her. I don't see a downside in this at all. Standing up for low-income workers in the province, going into an election campaign 5 months from now, that's just a winning issue. Who can campaign against paying people a livable wage? So if and all the small business owners and federations and all that say, oh, Kathleen Wynne is crazy. Kathleen Wynne is, she's the bully, not Tim Hortons. Well, that's just so crazy. I mean, okay. So, in the second half, in the 21st century, we can't pay people a livable wage in one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Okay. This all came out in the same week when we heard that Canada's top chief executive officers, top 100 chief executive officers, make more money in one day than most Canadians make in a year. Most Canadians make about $49,000 to $50,000 a year. Canada's top CEOs make more than $10 million a year. Some of them make more in the first couple of hours, as Jennifer Wells said in her column in the Toronto Star. Some of them make more in the first couple of hours of the working day than most Canadians make in a year. So when all the Canadian workers trudge down to Tim Hortons to get their coffee at 11 a.m., on any given working day, some CEOs in this country have made more in those 2 or 3 hours than most of those workers will make in a year. So that doesn't put it in perspective of the craziness about why we can't pay people $14, $15 an hour, why we can't pay people a basic minimum wage. I don't know. And then, of course, we have all these people in the same week not being able to get into homeless shelters. There's not enough space. And one of the coldest, most severe cold snaps we've had in recent memory, particularly here in the Toronto area, where temperatures at night go down to minus 23, minus 24. There are people living in our streets in this weather, in this country, Canada, one of the wealthiest countries in the world that has more resources than most. And yet we have people living on the streets in minus 25, minus 30 degree weather. We don't want to pay people basic minimum wage, and yet 2% of the population is making a whackload of cash, making more in one day than most Canadians make in a year. So that really sums it up at the beginning of 2018. What kind of a country is this? What kind of society are we living in? What kind of a society do we want to live in? I'm not going to get into the rhetoric, we need a revolution. We know there's not going to be a revolution. People people are too beaten down to have a revolution. Most people have bought into the whole notion that one day they're all going to be millionaires. You know, a lot of people just still buy into this notion that one day they're all going to be multimillionaires. And the American dream, the Canadian dream, whatever, is going to happen for them. Well, of course it's not. It's not going to happen. And you need decent wages. And you shouldn't even have to form a union to have these decent wages. The state, the society should mandate that people have decent wages. They have decent wages. They have decent health benefits. So, yeah. You know, it's mind-boggling that people can be opposed to having decent wages. And if you have to pay a few cents more or 50 cents more for your Timbit or your donut or your coffee, so be it. You pay more. A lot of these people, you know, if you go down in the financial district in Toronto, all the people lining up at the Tim Hortons are chief executives making a lot of money. So, like, Jesus, it's stunning. You know, it's not the 13th, 14th century anymore. I thought we went through the Enlightenment. I thought we went past feudal times. You know, we went through the Industrial Revolution. Let's pay people decent wages. And this debate is just mind-boggling. When we have, and I'm repeating myself here. I feel like Donald Trump because he always repeats himself. But it is mind-boggling where a few percentage, you know, 1-2% of the Canadian population makes so much money. And I'll repeat it one more time. These people make more in one day than most Canadians make in a year. So let's pay people $25 an hour. Let's pay people a real livable wage. You know, and they shouldn't have to get unionized. This is a company Clete and I worked for, Grandin Toy. Grandin Toy doesn't exist anymore. The company, it still exists in memory, like the Titanic. It still exists in memory. But we tried to form a union at Grandin Toy. And you know what they did? They basically shut down the company. They got rid of all the employees and shut down the company. This 100-year-old Canadian company that was known for actually treating its employees better than most retail companies. Now, that there were other reasons for why the company went bust and doesn't exist anymore, pretty much. It still exists online, but there are other reasons. I'm not going to be simplistic here. But the fact that the workers try to unionize, yeah, Grandin Toy realized, screw it. Just shut it down. And they did. They shut it down. I'm being a little simplistic here. There are other reasons. But when employees sometimes stand up for their rights, yeah, the thing is, for a lot of company owners, and these were American owners, they shut it down. Because, you know, and go online and get rid of all the employees, which Grandin Toy did in the nastiest fashion. So, I'm not going to belabor that, but that goes to show you. So that's going to lead me into the other point, and I'm not going to, I'm already going on a little longer than I wanted. But about a jobless recovery, you know, people are going on about, Donald Trump won because of anger and resentment, okay? He won because he told people who to hate. He told people to be angry. He told people to be resentful, and he told people who to hate, basically immigrants and, you know, whatever. So anger and resentment and hate will always win you an election. That's a key. Hillary Clinton, the Democrats ran a poor campaign, no question. But what could they have run, really? I saw some of Hillary's speeches, and I said this in previous videos, talking about an economic message, talking about moving into, you know, alternative energies and high tech or whatever. The jobs are no longer in the coal industry, and those jobs are gone. And that didn't resonate with people. People don't want to hear that. You know, people want to hear that their jobs are coming back. The coal industry is coming back. A lot of these industrial jobs that have disappeared are coming back. And they're not. And Donald Trump is not bringing them back. And a lot of these workers who supported him are generally going to be screwed. Part of that they don't care because they like the cultural revolution that Trump has brought about. They don't really care. The reasons they voted for Trump were just about job losses. They voted for him culturally. They don't like immigrants. They don't like women. Let's face it, right? We all know Hillary, being a woman, didn't help her. This whole Me Too movement, right? Yeah, Clete and I just watched the Golden Globes tonight. It was all about Me Too and women. And there's a lot of misogyny out there. And Hillary Clinton lost because she was a woman. I said to Cleve many times, it's much easier to elect a black man than it is to elect a woman. And I think I've been proven right. A lot of misogyny out there. So lots of reasons. But let's go to the economy. Okay, so the Democrats didn't really have a message, but what message could they have? It's hard to have an intellectual message when people are angry. There are no real jobs out there. It's a jobless recovery. Yeah, and the jobs that are out there are low-paid, crappy jobs. And high-paid jobs are few and far between unless you're highly educated. Even technology jobs. Like a lot of people went out to be hey, Cleve, your new media degree from Ryerson? It's irrelevant now. Time has moved on. A lot of people want to become web designers. A lot of people went into web design courses at George Brown and other community colleges. But there are no jobs for web designers because, first of all, most people design their own web. There's so many software applications. You can just easily design your own website. There are no jobs for web designers. I mean, there are no jobs. Technology moves so quickly. And that's what, what a lot of policy planners and government people, we're living in really troubled times. There aren't a lot of jobs for people. And I have to say, people who want to have kids, I say, don't have kids. There are no jobs for them. There's no future for them. We just don't have enough jobs for the people who live on this planet. And this is going to be the real crisis. And I could get into it, but yeah, automation, other reasons. There just isn't the jobs out there for people who want them. And there's still going to be some low-paid jobs in fast food, retail, whatever. But they're going to be becoming fewer and fewer, far and fewer, fewer and far, you know what I'm talking about. All right, let's end this video on Trump. Oh, and Iran. I need to say something Iran because this pathological hatred of Iran continues. Lots of street protests in Iran. Iran is a troubled society. There's lots of divisions in the ruling elites in Iran. There's the hardliners, there's the Rouhani types. Iran is a country in flux, and there's no simple analysis of what's going on there. Iran is actually, one of the more moderate countries in the Middle East. They have elections. Women have rights. Minority communities are tolerated. Religious communities are tolerated. Iran is not that bad a place. It's not great. It's not a beacon of human rights. But it's far better than Saudi Arabia, or even Turkey, or a lot of countries in the Middle East. Well, maybe not Turkey so much, although Turkey's moving in a crazy direction. But Iran is actually one of the more moderate countries in Central Asia and the Middle East. And yeah, it's a country in flux, and people are angry. They're not getting the. But this idea that Iran is some crazy, nutty theological dictatorship is just not true. It's a country in flux, and there's lots of divisions within the ruling parties. And Iran, and for Trump to stoke all this stuff is just nutty. And you have all these Iranian haters in the United States, which is just mind-boggling. It's not rational. It's just not rational. Most Iranians want good relations with the West. They want to move into the modern era. Most Iranians have smartphones. They want what we have. And the U.S. administration, while continuing to stoke this anti-Iranian crap that goes on in the United States, and in many parts of the American media, it's nutty. Iran is a country in flux. It's one of the more moderate countries in the region, and we should be encouraging any positive changes that happen there. And I'm glad the European community, and I'm glad even Canada has not gone onto the Trump wagon, this anti-Iran stuff that the Trumpites go on about. All right, I'm going to end the video about Trump. I don't think Trump is totally crazy. That new book by Michael Wolff is interesting. I don't think Trump is totally crazy. I do think he sees life as a game, and I do think he sees the presidency in many ways as a reality show, and he enjoys sending out the tweets, and he enjoys seeing the reaction to them, and he enjoys playing the media and playing everybody off against each other. He's having a good time. It's dangerous because he is the president of the United States. It's diabolical in some ways. I don't think Trump ever thought he would win the presidency. and I think the people around him were shocked when he did. And I do believe that Melania Trump was in tears when he won because she did not want to be First Lady. I think the fact that he won against all odds, against all these Republican contenders, and then won against the most powerful political machine in the United States, the Clintons, is testimony the guy is not stupid. In many ways, he's right. He is somewhat of a genius. He pulled it off. Whoever thought 3 years ago he could do that? He pulled it off. Yeah, he's not Da Vinci. He's not Einstein. But he is a genius for pulling off that electoral victory against all this huge Republican field and the most powerful political machine in American political history, the Clintons. And he pulled it off. So you got to give him credit where credit's due. Yes, he's eccentric, he's weird, he's a lot of things, but I don't think he's totally stupid. And I don't think he's totally crazy. And you don't become president of the United States with being totally crazy. And a lot of people thought Ronald Reagan was crazy. And he pulled it off against a very competent American president, Jimmy Carter, despite all the issues that were going on in the U.S. He pulled it off. So Donald Trump is pretty strange. He's eccentric, he's narcissistic, he's a lot of things people will say, but I don't think he's totally crazy. Crazy people couldn't have pulled off the victory that he pulled off pretty much on his own without any outside help. Remember, and this is the way I'll end the video, Donald Trump beat numerous Republican contenders and and the Clinton machine, which was powerful. Hollywood, the Clinton machine, the media, they were all for Hillary. And he beat them. Not by much, but he beat them. So, I don't think he's crazy. Is he dangerous? Yeah, somewhat. I don't think he's crazy. And in some ways, I think he is a genius. And that's why I'll end my video.